LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for 13 September 2023. Now, the today's editorial session talks about what Delhi High Court said on service charge. Use term staff contribution amount can't be over 10% of the bill, which we have taken from the Indian Express. And then we'll discuss some news update, which will include the national news, international news, important days, awards and sports. And then finally, we will discuss about the legal news update, which is coming from the Honorable Supreme Court and the High Court. Now, what Delhi High Court said on service charge? We need to discuss the context of this particular editorial. Why are we discussing this and why it is in question? The Honorable Delhi High Court, in an interim order, has recently directed members of the Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India to replace the term service charge with staff contribution, while adding that the amount charged should not exceed 10% of the total bill. In doing so, Honorable Justice Pratibha Singh said that around 3,300 FHRAI associated hotels and restaurants will now specify on their menus in bold that tips need not to be given after staff contribution is paid. Now, what is this case all about? The order was passed on plea filed by the National Restaurant Association of India and the Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India, challenging the July 4th guidelines issued by the Central Consumer Protection Authority. The guidelines said that restaurants or hotels should not automatically add service charge to the bill or collect it from consumers under any other name. On July 20 last year, while hearing this case, Justice Yashwant Verma of the Delhi High Court stayed the CCP guidelines subject to the association members ensuring that the levying of the service charge, in addition to the amount and taxes, is duly and prominently displayed on the menu or other places, along with the customer's obligation to pay the same. Now, seeking vacation of the court ordered stay on the 2022 guideline, the Centre and the CCPA told the Delhi High Court in September last year that eateries are still free to decide food and service prices, adding that the guidelines simply ensure that customers or consumers have the choice to decide whether they should pay the service charge or not. The Ministry of Consumer Affairs and CCPA also informed the court that over 1,105 complaints were registered by the consumers on the National Consumer Helpline after the guidelines regarding unfair levying of service charge were issued. After this, the court granted time to the Petitioner Association to respond to the government's stand while extending the interim stay. Things took a turn this year, however, when Justice Pratibha Singh said on April 12 that this interim order cannot be used to mislead consumers. It is clarified that the interim order shall not be shown in the display board or menu card in a manner to mislead the consumer. Additionally, the court asked the association to explore the possibility of using an alternative name for the term service charge. In the April 12 order, the petitioners were asked to file affidavits on what percentage of their members impose a service charge mandatorily in their bills. Now, the court asked associations to file any objection by members to replace service charge with alternate terminology to prevent confusion in the consumer's mind that this was a government levy. On July 24th, when neither of the petitioners filed the affidavit, the court imposed a fine of rupees 1 lakh each. Now, what is the court saying now? On Tuesday, the FHRAI submitted before the High Court that its members were ready to change the terminology from service charge to staff contribution. However, the NRAI refused, arguing that service charge has been imposed, considered and upheld in a number of decisions passed in the past, and thus required consideration. During the hearing, the court took note of NRAI's affidavit stating that 80% of NARI members impose service charge on its customers as a mandatory condition and that its members did not agree to change terminology. With respect to FHRAI's affidavit, the court noted that there was no uniformity or consistency in their membership, as some members imposed service charge while others did not. Consequently, the court directed members of FHRAI to use the term staff contribution in place of service charge and to cap it at 10% of the total billed amount. It also dismissed NRAI's application for waiver of rupees 1 lakh cost imposed on it for non-compliance with the April 12 order and directed it to deposit the amount within 2 weeks. Now, what were the July 4th guidelines on service charge? The CCPA stated in the guidelines issued on 4th July that service charge shall not be collected from customers by any other name and is optional and voluntarily. Service charge shall not be collected by adding it along with the food bill and levying GST on the total amount. The guidelines were issued by CCPA under Section 18, Subclause 2, Clause 1 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. They were passed after the CCPA noticed that the many grievances registered on the National Consumer Helpline that restaurants and hotels are levying service charge in the bill by default without informing consumers that paying such charge is voluntarily and optional. Consumers who found restaurants or hotel violating these guidelines could call the National Consumer Helpline, that is 1915, or file a complaint on the NCH mobile app. Alternatively, they could request that the eatery remove the service charge from the bill. Now, now continuing the guidelines, a complaint against unfair trade practices could also be lodged electronically with the Consumer Commission to the e-Dakhil portal for speedy redressal or otherwise. Beside this, complaints could also be submitted to the district collector or the district concerned for investigation and subsequent proceeding by the CCPA either through email or in person. The guidelines also clarified that they shall be in addition to and not in derogation of the guidelines dated 21/4/2017 published by the Department of Consumer Affairs. Now, what are 2017 guidelines? On April 2017, the central government issued guidelines prohibiting the levy of service charge on consumers by hotels and restaurants and terms the charging of anything other than the price displayed on the menu card along with applicable taxes without express consent of the consumers as unfair trade practices. These guidelines were passed under the Consumer Protection Act, the light of eateries charging consumer service charge without their consent. It was also noted that many customers have been paying tips to waiters in addition to service charge, mistakenly assuming that the service charge is a part of taxes. Apart from this, there were cases where customers were restrained from entering if they did not agree to pay the service charge. Now, that's all for the today's editorial section. Let's continue with the national news of the day. Election Commissioner Mr. Arun Goel on visit to Maldives to observe presidential election. Election Commissioner Arun Goel is leading a 3-member delegation to the Maldives to observe the presidential polls being conducted there. Mr. Goel-led delegation includes Deputy Election Commissioner Ajay Bhado and Principal Secretary Pramod Kumar Sharma. The team visited 22 polling booths located in Malé and Malé and observed the system and procedure of voter registration and identification and the arrangements of booths for polling. The first round of the election took place on September 9th. 8 candidates are in fray. None of the candidates could garner over 50% of votes. This means there will be second round of elections on September 30 to be contested only by the 2 candidates receiving the highest number of votes in the first election. The poll was conducted according to the Constitution of Maldives 2008, Election General Act 2008, Presidential Elections Act 2008, and Presidential Elections Rules and Regulations 2008. Mr. Goel assumed charge as Election Commissioner on 21st last year. Goel is an IAS, that is Indian Administrative Service Officer of Punjab Cadre 1985 batch. Now, RBI approves reappointment of Mr. Sandeep Bakhshi as MD and CEO of ICICI Bank Limited. The Reserve Bank of India has approved the reappointment of Mr. Sandeep Bakhshi as ICICI Bank MD and CEO for a period of 3 more years, and he will remain at the post till 3rd October 2026. Sandeep Bakhshi has been with the ICICI group for 36 years and has handled various assignments across the group in ICICI Limited, Lombard General Insurance, ICICI Bank, and ICICI Prudential Life Insurance. He was appointed as the bank's MD and CEO since 15th October 2018. He has served as whole-time director and COO of the bank prior to his appointment as MD and CEO. The tenure of Mr. Bakshi was till October 3rd. The reappointment period was from October 4, 23 to October 3rd, 326, which is subject to approval from Reserve Bank of India and the shareholders of ICICI Bank. Now, after Chandrayaan 3 success, next is Samudrayaan. Rijiju shares unseen images of submersible Matsya 6000. After a successful touchdown on Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft on the lunar surface, India is all set to send 3 humans in 6-kilometer ocean depth in its first manned deep ocean mission, Samudrayaan. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju on Monday, that is September 11th, posted unseen images of the submersible Matsya 6000, which is in preparation of exploring the deep ocean as part of India's Samudrayaan mission. The submersible is being developed by National Institute of Ocean Technology in Chennai under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. The unique mission is going to study the deep sea resources and biodiversity assessment. v.S. Laxman and Hrishikesh Kanitkar named coaches for India's men's and women's team at Asian Games 2023. v.S. Laxman and Hrishikesh Kanitkar will go to the 2023 Asian Games, which will be held in China as the men's and the women's team head coaches respectively. The men team bowling coach will be Sairaj Bahutule, while their fielding coach will be Munish Bali. Rajiv Datta will be bowling coach of the women's team and Subhadeep Ghosh will be the fielding coach. Both teams will enter the Asian Games 2023 at the quarter-final stage. According to the most recent schedule, India's men quarter-final match is on October 3rd, with the semi-final likely on October 5th if they qualify. The title clash is set for October 7th. Now, Saudi Arabia plans sovereign wealth fund office in Gujarat's Gift City. Saudi Arabia is considering setting up an office of its sovereign wealth fund at Gift City in Gandhinagar. The country's investment minister Khalid Al-Falhil recently said that within the next few weeks, he would send a delegation to Gift City to explore opportunities. Gift City officials will be sent to Saudi Arabia and ICICI in partnership with Invest India and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry will set up an investment and trade promotion office in Riyadh. Gift City is India's tax-neutral financial services center conceptualized by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It is global financial hub and India's first operational smart city. Now, G20 Summit startup bridge between India and Saudi Arabia announced. Following the announcement of Saudi Arabian Investment Facilitation Center in India, Prince Fahad bin Mansour Al Saud of Saudi Arabia spoke about the startup bridge initiative between the two countries. He said, we will work to see how entrepreneurs can solve a lot of problems that we are facing. Now, Startup 20, as described by G20 India Presidency 2023, is an official engagement group that acts as a dialogue forum for global startup ecosystem stakeholders. Its primary objective is to represent the global startup ecosystem's concern and challenges to G20 leaders. The group focuses on identifying key topics for discussion and formulating recommendations in various priority areas. Startup 20 India operates two task forces, each designed to address specific priorities and topics. These task forces develop recommendations to support startup ecosystem globally, which are conveyed through a communique to the G20 India presidency and discussed during the G20 Summit 2023. Earlier this year, Prime Minister Modi also announced the establishment of a startup bridge between India and Italy. Now, SAFF Under-16 Championship, India beats Bangladesh in final. India Under-16 team secured its status as champion of SAFF Under-16 Championship 2023, defeating Bangladesh by 2-0 in a high-octane final. Guided by head coach Park Ahmed, the Blue Coils, had a sparkling run throughout the championship, not conceding a single goal throughout the tournament. In the final match against Bangladesh, India displays tactical powers and control to secure the win. Now, world largest asteroid impact crater has reportedly been found in Australia, which is coming from the international news of the day. Researchers at the University of New South Wales might have found the world largest asteroid impact crater in Australia. The researchers believe that the site is a town of Deniquin is evidence of the oldest asteroid impact buried in the world. They also say that this crater could have helped trigger a major Galician event that killed 85% of the world's species. The research is published in the journal Tectonophysics. The newly found impact crater is named as Deniquin structure. Now, Israeli delegation makes first open visit to Saudi Arabia. An Israeli delegation attended a UNESCO meeting at Riyadh, marking the country's first publicly announced visit to South Africa. The five-member delegation arrived for the meeting to update UNESCO's World Heritage List of cultural and historical sites. Saudi Arabia, which contains two of Islam's holiest sites, does not recognize Israel and did not join the 2020 US grouped Abraham Accords, where Israel established ties with Gulf country, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. The fact that the visit was coordinated by UNESCO suggested obstacles remain to Saudi-Israeli normalization, said Aziz Al-Ghashian, a Saudi analyst and expert on the bilateral relationship. Now, PowerPoint software co-creator Dennis Austin dies at 76. Dennis Austin, who co-created the PowerPoint software almost 36 years ago, which is still being used by millions, has passed away in US. Austin died at the age of 76 from lung cancer. By 1993, PowerPoint was generating more than $100 million in sales. Microsoft integrated PowerPoint to its suite of Office products, including Word. Austin served as PowerPoint's primary developer from 1985 to 1996 when he retired. PowerPoint is now being used to create more than 30 million presentations a day. Austin was born in Pittsburgh on 28th May 1947. He studied engineering at the University of Virginia. Legal update coming from the Delhi High Court. Highly qualified and earning wife not disclosing her true income won't be entitled to maintenance from husband. The Delhi High Court has said that the wife cannot be entitled to maintenance by the husband when she is highly qualified and has been earning even after her marriage, though she does not fully disclose her true income. We find in the present case that it is not only the appellant is highly qualified and has an earning capacity, but in fact she has been earning through, though has not been inclined to truthfully disclose her true income. Such a person cannot be held entitled to maintenance. From a division bench of Justice Suresh Kumar Keth and Justice Neena Bansal Krishna. The court added, pertinently, the claim of maintenance by the appellant under the provision of Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence Act has also met the same fate and the maintenance has been declined to her. We therefore find no merit in appeal, which is hereby dismissed. Now, that's all for today's news update and the legal news. Stay tuned, keep learning. Thank you for watching.